A quiet threat is spreading through our grocery stores, a pattern most people are completely blind to. While headlines scream about temporary shortages of luxury goods, the real crisis is unfolding in the background, unnoticed. The items disappearing first aren't the ones you'd expect. They are the foundational, low-cost staples the very food societies rely on when things get tough. I've been tracking the data that the mainstream ignores, watching the subtle shifts in supply chains that signal a coming storm. The trend is clear. By the end of this year, the most affordable foods on the shelves will be the hardest to find, and their prices are set to surge. What I'm about to reveal is the list of 20 survival foods you need to secure now. Pay close attention, because what's happening with item number 10 is the key to understanding the full picture, and it's a detail they will never warn you about. What you learn today will be the critical difference. Let's begin. 1. The currency of collapse, iodized salt. In the quiet aftermath of an economic breakdown, the most overlooked items become treasures. At the very top of that list, hiding in plain sight, is simple iodized salt. We've all witnessed the panic buying that empties shelves of essentials, but salt possesses a unique, almost forgotten power. It remains cheap and abundant only until the moment society collectively remembers its true value. In a long-term crisis, where the intricate web of the supply chain has snapped and food preservation shifts from a hobby to a daily necessity, salt is not just a flavor enhancer. It becomes a fundamental tool for survival. You are not merely stocking a seasoning. You are acquiring a powerful preservative, a potent disinfectant, an electrolyte stabilizer, and one of history's most reliable forms of currency. Its price is already inching upwards, a subtle tremor caused by rising shipping costs. But in a deeper recession, the cost of bulk mineral salts could easily double or triple, vanishing from easy reach. Salt never expires, never spoils, and its chemical potency remains intact for generations. Every container you secure today is a permanent, unshakable asset. When the inevitable meat shortages arrive, you will have the means to cure and preserve what little you can find. When dehydration becomes a threat, you will mix your own life-saving electrolyte solutions. And when others are desperate, you will hold a commodity they would trade anything for. 2. The foundation fuel, dry lentils. As the economy falters and grocery budgets are stretched to their breaking point, the smartest survivors will turn to foods that deliver maximum nutrition for minimal cost. Dry lentils are arguably the most intelligent carbohydrate and protein source you can stockpile. In a collapse scenario, every resource becomes precious, especially fuel. This is where lentils eclipse other legumes, revealing their strategic advantage. They cook with astonishing speed, require almost no preparation, and use just a fraction of the water and fuel demanded by traditional beans. This efficiency saves not just money, but time, energy, and the mental strain that comes with rationing. Nutritionally, lentils provide precisely what a body under duress needs: high-quality protein, slow-release carbohydrates for sustained energy, and a dense payload of fiber, iron, and essential minerals that keep you physically strong and mentally sharp. They store compactly, weigh little, and when sealed in a mylar bag with oxygen absorbers, their shelf life extends beyond a decade. This simple act turns a cheap bulk purchase into a long-term food insurance policy, but the window of opportunity is closing. Major exporters like India and Canada have already signaled supply redirections, a move that analysts predict will cause a 10–15% price spike in the very near future. In a tightening market, the foods that are easiest to transport and store always disappear first. Do not treat lentils as an optional extra. They are the bedrock of a resilient survival pantry. 3. The crisis carb, instant rice. In the skeletal framework of a collapsed economy, every minute spent cooking is a resource you cannot afford to squander. Fuel shortages, rolling blackouts, and the soaring price of propane will transform the simple act of preparing a meal into a logistical nightmare. It is in this harsh reality that instant rice emerges as a survival powerhouse. Standard rice, with its lengthy boiling times, becomes a liability, draining precious fuel reserves. Instant rice, however, is a game changer. It rehydrates in minutes, often with nothing more than boiled water, conserving fuel with ruthless efficiency. When you are exhausted, cold, and rationing your last canister of gas, Those saved minutes are invaluable. Today, instant rice is deceptively cheap, often found for around $1 per pound. But do not be lulled into a false sense of security. Global rice prices have already jumped by nearly 20% in recent months, and quick-cook varieties are always the first casualties when a crisis sparks public fear. Its storage is simple. A cool, dark pantry keeps it stable for years, and Mylar bags can extend that lifespan even further. This versatile grain becomes the perfect canvas for any other supplies you have, turning beans, lentils, or canned meats into a warm, morale-boosting meal when you need it most. Don't wait for empty shelves to teach you the value of speed and efficiency in the resilient protein-dried chickpeas. When the flow of money slows to a trickle and reliable protein sources become scarce, the humble dried chickpea will rise from obscurity to become an essential survival staple. It delivers a nutritional payload that few other pantry items can hope to match. When paired with grains, it forms a complete protein, providing the building blocks your body needs to maintain strength. It also offers slow-burning carbohydrates for lasting energy, along with iron, magnesium, and fiber that create a feeling of fullness, stabilizing your energy levels through long, stressful days. While chickpeas do require soaking and a longer cooking time than lentils, the return on that investment is immense, particularly in a protracted crisis where hearty, substantial meals are crucial for both physical and psychological well-being. With basic ingredients like oil, garlic powder, and salt, you can transform them into thick stews, pan-fried patties, or even a rudimentary hummus that will feel like a gourmet luxury. Chickpeas are masters of long-term storage, lasting well over a decade in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This makes them a low-cost investment that will feed you long after the last canned goods have vanished from the shelves. But global demand is rising, and weather disruptions in key growing regions have already pushed prices up by 10–15%. In a severe downturn, protein sources are the first to disappear, and chickpeas will be no exception. 5. The canned lifeline: sardines and mackerel. When the system finally breaks and fresh food becomes a distant memory, canned sardines and mackerel will instantly transform into one of the most valuable assets in your entire stockpile. These small tins are cheap now, easily acquired for a little over $1. Their true worth, however, is not measured in today's currency, but in the currency of a crisis: immediate, nutrient-dense sustenance. There is no refrigeration required, no preparation needed, no fuel consumed, and zero waste. You simply open the can, and within seconds you are consuming real protein, healthy fats, omega-3 seconds, calcium, and essential B vitamins. That level of efficiency is almost unheard of in the world of survival food. Protein shortages strike with brutal speed during recessions and supply chain failures, and the canned seafood aisle is always one of the first to be stripped bare. Add to this the pressures of overfishing, soaring shipping costs, and explosive global demand, and it becomes clear why analysts are forecasting a 15–20% price surge. In a crisis, your body will desperately crave fats for energy, warmth, and cognitive function. Oily fish like sardines and mackerel deliver more usable nutrition per ounce than many expensive, pre-packaged survival meals. Stored properly, some cans can last 5 to 8 years, making them both a long-term insurance policy and an immediate use meal that requires no resources. 6. The dense energy reserve: peanut butter. As inflation ruthlessly devours grocery budgets, forcing families to make impossible choices about protein, peanut butter emerges not as a snack, but as a critical line of defense. It is one of the most caloric-dense, reliable emergency foods you can possibly secure. A single jar is a vessel of survival, packed with hundreds of calories, essential fats, protein, and fiber. In the dark days of a crisis, when stress levels are suffocating and food options have dwindled to nothing, the psychological comfort of this familiar staple cannot be overstated. It requires no cooking, no heating, and absolutely no preparation. In a blackout where the grid has failed and fuel is a memory, a single spoonful offers a life-saving dose of immediate energy. When paired with basic carbohydrates like oats or crackers, it transforms from a condiment into a complete meal. However, The true veteran of preparation knows that the standard jar has a shelf life limit. This is why powdered peanut butter is the secret weapon of the prepared. It is lightweight, stripped of the oils that cause spoilage, and capable of lasting a decade when sealed in mylar or cans. It stands as your long-term backup when the regular jars have turned rancid. Warnings are already flashing in the agricultural sector. Severe droughts in major peanut-producing regions are strangling supply, forcing processors to hike prices by 8 to 10%. In a full-scale economic collapse, calorie-dense foods like this are the first to be hoarded and the first to vanish. Secure your supply now, or face a future where even basic energy is a luxury you cannot afford. The vanishing protein, powdered eggs. We are approaching a time where fresh eggs will once again become a rare luxury, echoing past shortages where prices spiked violently and shelves were stripped bare overnight. In this volatile landscape, powdered eggs are not just a convenience. They are one of the most intelligent long-term investments you can make. A single number 10 can provide the nutritional equivalent of 60 to 70 eggs, all without the need for refrigeration, without the risk of spoilage, and without the fragility of shells. They are immune to the expiration dates that plague fresh produce. In a survival scenario, versatility is key, and powdered eggs deliver. You can scramble them, bake with them, or use them to fortify bland survival meals with critical protein. When the body is under the immense stress of a collapse, simply filling your stomach with empty carbs is a recipe for weakness. You need real protein to maintain muscle and immunity. Powdered eggs, when stored in a cool, dark place, remain viable for 10 to 15 years, making them one of the longest-lasting organic staples in existence. But the warning signs are clear. Past avian flu outbreaks sent prices soaring by nearly 30%, and another wave could wipe this resource from the market instantly. In a supply chain breakdown, any commodity tied to livestock is incredibly vulnerable. Do not wait for the news reports to tell you it's too late. Secure this protein source now while it remains affordable, and ensure you can eat a real breakfast when the world around you is falling apart. 8. The white gold, powdered milk. When the economy tightens its grip and the grocery supply chains begin to fracture, dairy is often the first casualty. Fresh milk relies entirely on a functioning cold chain. Without power or reliable transport, it spoils in hours. This is why shelf-stable and powdered milk are not optional. They are essential advantages in any economic crisis. Powdered milk is a miracle of preservation, lasting an incredible 20 years or more when sealed in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. It offers a level of security that fresh dairy never could. It gives you flexibility in a rigid world. You can mix it into oatmeal, fortify soups, use it in baking, or drink it straight to maintain calcium and protein levels. In the darkest times, the simple, familiar comfort of a warm cup of milk can lift morale in ways you cannot quantify. Currently, the cost is deceptive, around $3.50 per pound in bulk, which is remarkably cheap considering the volume of liquid milk it produces. But do not be fooled by today's prices. Global dairy powder prices surged 16% just last year, and booming demand in emerging markets is draining US availability. In a collapse scenario, dairy alternatives become priceless commodities. Stock up now, seal what you can, and give yourself a dependable source of nutrition and comfort when the refrigerators stop humming. 9. The silent nutrient shield, canned pumpkin and sweet potato. When a crisis drags on from weeks into months, the human body begins to falter under the strain of cheap, repetitive, nutrient-poor meals. This is where canned pumpkin and sweet potatoes cease to be holiday ingredients and become silent heroes in your survival cache. These cans are nutrient powerhouses, loaded with vitamin A, fiber, potassium, and slow-burning carbohydrates that keep your energy steady when adrenaline and stress are draining you dry. In an economic collapse, fresh produce becomes either exorbitantly expensive or completely non-existent. These canned vegetables offer something increasingly rare: reliable nutrition that requires zero refrigeration and almost no preparation. You can stir them into oats, use them to thicken soups, stretch scarce pancake batter, or eat them straight from the can with a pinch of spice for a morale-boosting treat. Their shelf life is exceptional, easily lasting 3 to 5 years, with many cans remaining safe to eat far beyond their printed dates if kept in a cool pantry. But the agricultural outlook is grim. Extreme weather events are hammering major growing regions in the U. It's driving costs up by 10–15% already. As the masses rediscover the value of shelf-stable produce, these cans will vanish from shelves faster than you expect. Add a case to your reserves immediately, because in a world without fresh food, nutrient-dense comfort becomes a form of wealth. 10. The versatile grain, cornmeal. In the throes of an economic crisis, the greatest challenge is often stretching meager ingredients into meals that actually fill the stomach and warm the soul. Cornmeal delivers on this necessity better than almost any other grain. It is deceptively cheap today, usually under $1.50 per pound. Yet it holds the potential to transform into an incredible array of foods: cornbread, dumplings, hush puppies, fried cakes, and porridge. In a collapse, when you need meals that provide heavy satiety and comfort, cornmeal becomes a true survival staple. It is calorie-dense, incredibly easy to cook, and pairs beautifully with other stockpile items like powdered milk, eggs, or beans. Nutritionally, it provides the slow-burning carbohydrates and essential trace minerals needed to stabilize energy levels when stress is taking its toll. Its shelf life is solid 12 to 18 months in the original bag, but can be extended to 5 years when stored in mylar with oxygen absorbers. However, the market is shifting. With global corn prices already rising 14% and supply chains tightening, corn-based products are always the first to see price spikes. If wheat shortages hit hard, corn becomes the fallback grain that everyone rushes to buy. Do not be caught in the panic when the shelves empty. Stockpile cornmeal now, divide it into sealed portions, and guarantee yourself a versatile food source as the economy continues its slow. 11. The psychological anchor, instant mashed potatoes. In the grim reality of a collapsing economy, when the weight of survival presses down on your shoulders and physical exhaustion becomes a constant companion, instant mashed potatoes transform from a convenience item into a psychological anchor. They are one of the most practical, comforting foods you can possibly stockpile. Their value lies in their terrifying simplicity. They require almost no fuel, absolutely no cooking skills, and barely any water to prepare. This is a massive tactical advantage when propane is scarce, the grid is dead, and clean water must be rationed drop by drop. You simply add hot water, and within minutes, you are holding a warm, filling meal that mimics the normalcy of the life you used to know. Instant potatoes are calorie-dense and easy on the digestion, acting as a perfect carbohydrate base for whatever meager proteins you have: left beans, canned meats, or rehydrated gravy. They strike the emotional center hard, offering a fleeting sense of stability when the world outside is chaotic. Their shelf life is impressive, lasting up to a decade in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. But the agricultural warning signs are already flashing. Potato yields in major U.S. growing regions are dropping due to unpredictable climate swings, pushing prices on a steady upward trajectory. When the supply chains finally crack, comfort foods are the first to be stripped from the shelves. Secure your supply now, or face the cold reality of hunger without comfort. 12. The universal calorie, pasta. When the currency loses its value and options shrink to nothing, pasta becomes the single most dependable survival food on your pantry shelves. Today, it is deceptively cheap, often costing pennies per ounce, but its return on investment is staggering. A single pound delivers immense caloric value, long-lasting satiety, and the flexibility to create dozens of different meals with minimal additional ingredients. In an economic collapse, where keeping morale high is as critical as keeping bellies full, pasta is a lifeline for families. It cooks quickly, demands no refrigeration, and serves as a neutral canvas for whatever you can scavenge or trade for canned tomatoes, oil, bouillon, or simple spices. The ability to feed children something they will eat without complaint is a luxury that becomes priceless during a long-term crisis. Stored in airtight containers, dry pasta can last 5 to 10 years, making it one of the most enduring carbohydrates available. But the storm clouds are gathering. Global durum wheat prices have already spiked over 11% following severe droughts in Canada and Europe, and pasta manufacturers are the first to feel the squeeze. That cheap box on the shelf today is poised to double in price as shortages ripple through the market. Do not wait for the sticker shock to paralyze you. Stockpile 20 pounds now and build a carbohydrate fortress before the shelves are bare. 13. The infinite grain, hard red wheat berries. When an economic collapse stretches from weeks into years, the people who survive aren't the ones with the most freeze-dried meals. They are the ones with raw, renewable staples. Nothing beats hard red wheat berries for long-term resilience. These are not merely grains, they are a complete survival system. When stored properly in mylar bags or sealed buckets, wheat berries have a legendary shelf life, lasting 25 to 30 years and outliving nearly every other food source in existence. In a true crisis, they offer 3 critical strategic advantages that processed foods cannot match. You can grind them into fresh flour for bread, cook them whole as a hearty, chewy porridge, or sprout them to create nutrient-rich greens when fresh produce is impossible to find. At mere cents per pound in bulk, the value is unbeatable. Remember, flour goes rancid in months, but the berry remains dormant and fresh for decades. With droughts devastating Kansas and Oklahoma, U.S. exports have tightened significantly, and domestic demand is shifting toward long shelf-life grains. Bread shortages are not fiction. They are a historical inevitability. Do not wait for the next cycle of scarcity. Secure a bulk supply and a manual grinder now, and you grant yourself true food independence while others rely on a broken system. 14. The dual-purpose kernel, popcorn. In the bleak landscape of a crisis, morale is just as vital as caloric intake, and popcorn kernels provide a unique solution to both problems. Most view popcorn as a trivial snack, but the seasoned prepper knows it is actually a versatile, long-lasting, dual-purpose grain. Stored properly, unpopped kernels last 5 to 10 years, and with oxygen absorbers, they can remain viable for decades. This makes them one of the most overlooked survival carbohydrates available for under $1. You get an instant morale booster when popped, with a little oil, something warm, crunchy, and distracting when stress is high and every day feels like a battle. But the true secret lies in its hidden utility. Popcorn kernels can be ground into reliable cornmeal if you possess a manual grinder. In a prolonged economic downturn, when store shelves are empty and processed corn products have vanished, these hard little kernels become your secret stockpile of calories. They store compactly, cook fast, and offer critical variety when your meal plan becomes dangerously repetitive. Corn demand is already spiking globally, and when the supply of other corn-based goods dries up, this humble snack will become a serious asset. Add a large bag to your pantry immediately and give yourself both a comfort food and a fallback grain before the tightening shortages take hold. 15. The breakfast backbone, rolled oats. When the economy finally grinds to a halt and food fatigue sets in, rolled oats will stand as one of the most reliable, filling, and cost-effective staples in your possession. Oats deliver slow-burning energy, stabilize blood sugar, and keep hunger at bay far longer than most cheap, processed carbohydrates. At a fraction of $1 per pound in bulk, oats offer one of the lowest cost per meal ratios in the entire world of preparedness. What makes them priceless during a crisis is their stark simplicity. You can prepare them with nothing more than hot water, and in extreme situations, even cold water and time will suffice. This efficiency means you save precious fuel, you save time, and you guarantee yourself consistent calories when you need them most. Rolled oats are incredibly versatile, pairing with almost anything you have left: powdered milk, peanut butter, sugar, or even savory additions. Stored in mylar with oxygen absorbers, they remain edible for well over a decade, making them the dependable backbone of long-term survival nutrition. In past shortages, oats were among the first grains to disappear because families instinctively recognized their value. Do not wait for history to repeat itself. Buy your oats in bulk now and secure a food source that keeps your body 16 by the morale booster, ramen noodles. In the hollowed-out shell of a collapsed economy, when relentless stress erodes your will and comfort becomes a forgotten luxury, ramen noodles evolve into something far greater than a cheap meal. They become a psychological lifeline. At a mere 25 to 30 cents per brick, ramen represents one of the most affordable hot meals you can possibly store. Its preparation requires almost no fuel, no skill, and minimal water, a trifecta of efficiency in a world where every resource is precious. Having a hot, salty, and familiar meal, ready in 3 minutes, can make a staggering difference to your morale on the darkest days. But the true value of ramen extends beyond the noodles. Those tiny seasoning packets are particles of pure survival gold. They are potent flavor agents capable of transforming bland rice, beans, or potatoes into savory meals that keep your appetite engaged when stress threatens to kill your desire to eat. Ramen itself lasts 2 to 3 years in its original packaging, and much longer when stored in airtight containers. Its lightweight, compact nature makes it an ideal barter item when shelves are empty and desperation sets in. But the warning signs are already here. Global wheat prices are on a dangerous upward trend, and instant noodle producers are always among the first to pass those costs to the consumer. In a deep recession or a genuine food shortage, ramen will vanish from shelves faster than almost any other item. Stockpile a full case now while it remains almost laughably cheap. You are not just buying noodles. You are buying warmth and comfort for the hard days ahead. 17. The essential fuel, sugar and molasses. In the brutal calculus of a long-term economic collapse, where securing calories becomes a daily struggle and energy levels plummet from constant stress, sugar and molasses transform from simple sweeteners into essential survival tools. Sugar is not about taste, it is about pure, immediate fuel. A single tablespoon delivers a rapid 50-calorie boost, a dose of energy that can be life-saving when you are exhausted from hauling water, chopping wood, or enduring extended periods of rationing. More importantly, sugar is a critical component of food preservation. Without it, you lose the ability to make shelf-stable jams, jellies, and fruit syrups, methods that extend the life of foraged or garden-grown foods. Molasses elevates this value further by adding a payload of iron, magnesium, potassium, and vitamin B, 6 micronutrients your body will be screaming for when fresh produce is a distant memory. Both of these staples store exceptionally well. Granulated sugar, kept dry, lasts indefinitely. Unopened molasses easily survives for 5 years or more. But the danger lies in complacency. Global sugar production is tightening, and prices are already creeping upward. Natural sweeteners like molasses are rising even faster due to fierce international demand. In any collapse scenario, items that provide energy and comfort are the first to be hoarded and the first to disappear. Do not underestimate their critical role. Secure several large bags of sugar and at least 1 jug of molasses now. Your future ability to preserve food, maintain your energy, and boost your morale will depend on it. 18. The flavor weapon, Bouillon cubes. During a protracted crisis, one of the most insidious threats to your survival is not just hunger, but the crushing monotony of your food supply. Eating the same flavorless rice, beans, or pasta day after day drains your willpower and erodes your psychological resilience. This is precisely why bouillon cubes and powdered broth are absolute essentials for any serious stockpile. These tiny, lightweight cubes are flavor bombs, capable of transforming the most basic ingredients into something warm, savory, and deeply comforting. With a single cube, you can turn plain water and rice into a passable soup, create a rich broth for noodles, season foraged vegetables, or add a much-needed depth to simple stews. When you're sweating through physical labor or battling dehydration, the salt and electrolytes packed into bouillon also become a critical tool for keeping your body in balance. They cost next to nothing today, yet they offer immense value with every serving. Stored in an airtight container, they can last for 5 to 10 years, making them one of the cheapest and most effective long-term morale boosters you can acquire. But be warned, as more people awaken to the need for shelf-stable ingredients, bouillon vanishes. Every economic scare in recent years has seen these items wiped from shelves almost overnight. Do not wait for the next wave of panic. Stock up now and arm yourself with the ability to make every survival meal taste like something worth eating. 19. The caloric density king, cooking oil and lard. In any scenario involving economic collapse, one of the first resources people forget until it is far too late is cooking fat. Without oil or lard, your entire food supply becomes immensely more difficult to prepare, significantly less flavorful, and dramatically lower in calories. A single tablespoon of basic vegetable oil delivers over 120 calories, making it one of the most calorie-dense survival foods you can possibly store. When you are burning precious energy just to stay warm or perform manual tasks, this density is not a luxury, it is a critical necessity. Oil enables you to fry, sauté, bake, and even preserve other foods through methods like confit. It turns dry grains and starches into palatable, energy-rich meals. Lard and coconut oil offer even greater advantages, including longer shelf lives and higher smoke points, making them more stable for long-term storage and high-heat cooking. But the market is already flashing red. Global vegetable oil prices have surged due to droughts in key soybean and palm regions, coupled with rising fuel costs that strain supply chains. In a real collapse, cooking oil will be one of the first commodities to vanish, because while everyone needs it, almost no one thinks to store it in quantity. Standard vegetable oil lasts 12 to 18 months, while properly sealed lard and coconut oil can last for years. Do not leave your future self with dry, joyless meals and a severe calorie deficit. Stock up on cooking fats now. 20. The universal solvent, apple cider vinegar. When the infrastructure of society crashes and access to medical supplies, chemical cleaners, and fresh produce becomes dangerously unpredictable, apple cider vinegar becomes one of the most potent, multifunctional liquids you can possibly own. This is not merely a cooking ingredient. It is a preserver, a cleaner, a digestive aid, a water sanitizer, and a natural antiseptic. In a world where every single item must justify its space, one bottle that solves a dozen different problems is priceless. It requires no refrigeration and possesses a virtually indefinite shelf life, only growing stronger and more acidic over time. You can use it to pickle foraged vegetables, extending your food supply. You can create homemade electrolyte drinks, clean minor wounds in an emergency, or maintain a sourdough starter when commercial yeast is gone. Its applications are vast and vital for off-grid self-sufficiency.